Welcome back to this Blender Beginner series. In this video we're going to introduce the Array modifier while we work on our lamp that goes above the mirror. So we're going to start off by hiding everything we've already worked on, create a new collection for this video, and we're going to call it lamp. Of course we're going to need a reference image for this. So my favorite method is to go on DuckDuckGo into the image search and search for something I'm looking for. So let's do that. Open up your favorite browser and go to DuckDuckGo. This is where we're going to search for our reference images for lighting. I've already found one that I like. It's called Huguenot Lake. And if we go to our image search, it is right here. You can right-click on this and save image. You'll want to take that image into an image editor such as GIMP or Krita or Photoshop and add a transparency layer, or an alpha channel rather. Select our white background with a fuzzy select and delete it, and then export that as your file to wherever you are keeping these. Back in Blender, let's hit Shift S to bring up our cursor menu, put it in the center of the world, hit Shift A, and add our reference image, the one that we have edited. I found that a scale of 0.121 is actually the exact size that we need for this lamp. To copy and paste, you don't actually have to select values in Blender. You can hold your cursor over it, hit Control-C, and where you want it to go, hold your cursor over it and press Control-V. You don't have, there's fewer clicks than in most applications. So let's start by moving our cursor up a little bit. Good enough. This is not an exact head-on image, but it'll be good enough for us. We're going to add our circle, give it 12 vertices, and make it face the view. Scale it, apply rotation and scale, and we don't have a side view, so we don't know exactly how much this sticks out, but we can make an educated guess. So let's extrude these out a little bit, and we'll try and match kind of where we think this should line up with our image. Alright, so we have our basic shape. Alright, so we want some rounded features on here. So let's bevel these edges. This edge, you'll notice, did not meet all the way. Let's do an edge slide. That's double tap G all the way over. Select all our vertices and merge by distance. That looks pretty good. Do the same here. And this is kind of a flatter area, not really curved, so let's bevel it only a little bit. In fact, let's put a bevel modifier there. Let's just mark these edges as bevel weight. Add our bevel modifier. Restrict it to weight. There we go. Do the same for these. And that one as well, and then we'll extrude this out to a point that looks good. We can always move this if it doesn't quite work out with the lampshades that we make. Let's take our reference image and put it in front and change this opacity to 0.2. Now we're going to make one of our fixtures here. So we're going to make a cube, scale it way down, give it a subdivision surface modifier. We're getting to the array modifier shortly here. That looks about right. Now, what we'll do here is we're going to move it on the X about negative 0.25 or negative 0.2. Negative 0.23. Now, we're going to give this an array modifier, and what this does is it makes an array of repeating in a line the same object. We're going to change it to constant offset, which gives us the ability to give it an actual measurement rather than relative offset, which is one is end to end. So you might do that with something that's a pipe or a tube of some kind. And we're going to say 0.23 divided by 2. So that is half. We have not applied our scale. There we go. And we don't want it to be half, we want it to be 0.23. And we want the count to be 3. And so that's how you use an array modifier. It's pretty simple. And we're going to start putting some circles, some cylinders pointing out of this. Alright, so let's grab the bottom. This bunch here, we're going to extrude on the Z. Scale Z0, and we'll delete these vertices in the middle and use our circle tool. Bring that up to about there. And bring that down. Scale it out. And we're going to be putting edges or edge loops at the extreme inner and outer portions of these curved areas. Alright, once you have a basic shape, it doesn't have to be exact by any means, it's however you want it to look. But if we go into smooth shade mode, it should look pretty good. Let's give it a subdivision surface modifier. And that, we'll put a little bit of a crease here. That looks good to me. Alright, so now we have 3 of these for holding our globes. So let's put our cursor right at the base of one of these. And we're going to Shift D, scale that down a little bit, hit P for separate selection, and move it down the slightest bit and extrude up so that it goes inside a little bit. We'll extrude and scale this. And you don't even actually have to be working with this same reference image. You can be making whatever you want. And since we took from this former object, the new one that we separated has the same modifiers as the previous one. So we already have our 3 here. But we want to add a Solidify modifier to this. And the array should probably be at the end, so that it's just repeating the same finished object. So let's add our Solidify. Bring that down here, and we need something toward the end to make that a little bit of a harder curve. Is that too thick for a globe? I think it looks alright. It can always be changed later since it is a modifier. I love those screencast keys that turn themselves off. I hope this video hasn't been too bad without those keys. We want to scale this down, however, we don't want it to get any shorter. So there are two ways to do that. One, we can scale and shift Y so that it scales on all axes except Y, or we can Alt S, which scales along normals. Now we need these cross members here. So let's take our cursor, put it to the selected object, and we're going to move it to negative 0.23 divided by 2, right in the center of them. And let's add a circle, 0.01. And let's switch to wireframe mode, look at a side view, align to view, and let's add a mirror modifier to it. So now when we extrude on the X, we'll get it going both ways, so long as we apply rotation and scale. Now we're going to scale this down in edit mode on all axes except X. Now extrude so far has, we've been making extrusions of faces all going in a single direction. At this point, let's cover a few of the different extrude options. So we can hit Alt E instead of E, and here you can see we can extrude individual faces, which is not what we want here. We can Extrude Manifold, which I'm not entirely sure what that is supposed to do. I'm sure there's a use for it. I have never actually used it for anything. But what we want to use here is extrude along normals, extrude faces along normals. And what that will do is essentially extrude in all directions while keeping the faces all connected together. Now we do want this to merge in the center. So let's, oh, merge is already on by default. I'm sorry, we don't need to change that. Let's make it smooth, add our subdivision surface modifier. It's becoming a trend with everything we're making here, which makes sense because this is what you would refer to as the sub-D workflow. You add your subdivision surface modifier and then adjust things to look like the way you want them with that turned on. And we'll add a second mirror. We're going to put it up above subdivision but below the first mirror, and it's going to be on the x-axis, and we'll use this fixture as the point of reference. So there we have our our lamp. So let's move our reference to the reference layer, name all of our pieces, and we'll pick up in the next video with a toothbrush holder and some toothbrushes. That will provide a little bit more of a challenge to model, and we will be using a radial array modifier as well, which is not just a straight line, but we use an empty object to make a radius in a circle. So I will see you in the next video. Hey guys, if you found this video useful, hit like and consider subscribing to the channel. And you can turn on that notification bell too so that you don't miss future videos. Until next time, I'm Carl with Blender Forge.